All right, I'm sitting here with Royce for another episode about the junk hauler. How you doing, man?
Doing great, Nick. Thanks for having me.
We did an episode, was it in 24 or 23? Something like that.
Yeah, time flies. I can't remember.
Time flies.
Yeah.
So I've heard your story. Anyone listening to this one, we have a previous episode that gives his backstory, which is really cool. I'll go, you correct me and you jump in if I it all up. You basically moved up here, and we're doing a remodel. Moved up here. You got your you're in the media world in New York. Is that right? Doing some
advertising.
Some advertising.
Yeah.
You had an advertising background. You lived in Cali for a little bit, and then you moved to Idaho, and you did a pretty extensive remodel.
Yeah, we bought a home and we just did a little remodel on it. It was wintertime too, which is significant.
It was winter.
Yeah.
It was miserable because
Yeah.
you had to go to the landfill 20 different times probably in a pickup truck, right?
Yep.
So you didn't have a box truck, I assume.
No, we just had a little trailer, which made it
Truck and trailer.
Yeah, a little bit more.
But that's what sparked the idea, correct?
Yeah, the light bulb came up.
And that's cool. Like I love hearing where the spark came from, you know. And we go into that more in depth in the first episode. So if you're listening to this one, you want to hear it, go check out the first one. It's an awesome story. And I even assumed at one point that you were a franchise, but locally owned, operated, and I had to pull some quotes because the first episode was so good. One of your quotes is, "Competition doesn't scare me. It makes me sharpen the blade." There's a lot of junk guys out there, you know. But I remember when I first met you, you were the only one, you know, in the beginning. Now the franchisee model's really moved into this market. And there's enough people for all of you, I think, you know. But is that competition still coming for you?
I think so. It seems like from the last time we met, there's probably, I want to say 20 more guys, and there's probably 20 more others that are going to be on top of that in the next year. So you just got to stay sharp. You got to be ahead of the game, and you got to just continue to use the things that make you strong.
How do you stay sharp? What makes you sharp? How do you, like, just personally, how do you keep your mind right so you're not overwhelmed? Because I would think that's fairly intimidating, you know.
Being balanced, being modest, recognizing your limitations. But I've learned that if you're moving at a fast pace, you're not going to be able to think and be smart. So you really have to take time to slow it down so that you can actually see what's happening, because the whirlwind doesn't really help you. You got to be smarter. You got to make those adjustments, and you got to treat your crew right, or else everything falls apart, because it's all a team.
Yeah. Have you grown in the last year and a half or so since we've done the podcast? Have you grown employee-wise, truck-wise? Are you still continuing to grow your team?
Absolutely. I mean, we've always had a good team. Like, our team is a family mentality, which we've done from the beginning. So we don't have a lot of turnover, which is great. But the growth actually has happened, I'm going to say, in the last 3 months.
Okay.
Exceptionally.
Oh, great.
You know, we've always grown, but the last 3 months has been excellent with regards to, you know, before you're running one way, now all of a sudden you have more customers. And so now you have a different level that you're at. So now you got to, you level up. So how are you going to handle all these customers?
And it's painful, right? Happy. That leveling up.
Yeah.
That's how I look at our team, and we all get stressed out, and we all feel like we're stretched too thin. And I think what you're doing is just your whole, your mind, your body, everything's just leveling up to a better version of your company and a better version of, yourself. Because if you're not doing your team any good if you can't stay sharp yourself, if you can't make decisions as a business owner to better your company, and then if you make the wrong decision, to maybe pull it back and have the, have the acknowledgement to yourself that, oh, because we've done that. We've like gone one way, like, oh, this isn't working. You have to be humble enough to be like, okay, I was wrong. Like I was wrong. You guys were right. Let's go this way. And it's not you're not keeping score of like who's right and who's wrong. It's like if you can build that real team camaraderie, you can really win. And I know from the first episode, family's important, treating your guys right is important. You have another quote that I really, really liked. Because I listened a few days ago. I listened to our first episode. If you spent your life working so much that you missed your daughter's game, are you truly successful? If you you got all these customers and you got all this new business, it's all great. If you don't ever see your wife, your kids, whatever your situation is, your friends, your dog, whatever it is, like, you got to have that balance. And I think I've seen it in the scrap side. Guys who run so hard because business is good, and you'll break, man. You'll crumble, So it sounds like that's at the forefront for you and your guys. It's like, how important is family to you?
Oh, absolutely important. I think my wife is my best friend, and she'll always tell you when you're going too far, and you got to listen. The problem is if you don't listen, then you get in trouble. So that you're a team, you're a complement, and so she's a big part of the business. But she'll ground you. You're in the day-to-day operations, but she's going to tell you certain things. And you got to be a leader for the crew, but you also got to be a leader for your family.
That's awesome, man. Because that's the perfect way to put it. You got to. Same with me and my wife. Like, I wouldn't be where I am today in my career if she didn't make some sacrifices and give me some suggestions. Like, maybe I'm too trapped in my feelings about a situation, and she's like, chill out,
Yeah.
something like that. So I think the ability to listen. And one thing that was hard for me, especially in my 20s and 30s, still in my 40s probably, is sometimes I think the way I'm thinking is the right way. And I've learned to step back and be like, I find it super fascinating. Like, you can take two equally intelligent people, and they can have two completely ways of thinking. Just knowing that that's a possibility, you got to be like, okay, well, what am I missing? What am I thinking about? Like, what am I not doing right?
Yeah, I think it makes you stronger if you listen. Because sometimes you just one way, and I'm having that challenge with the crew too. Like, you have to be a leader, but at the same time, you have to make executive decisions because they're counting on you to do that. But you need to listen to them because they're kind of telling you a lot that can help you be better. And if you don't have that ear, to be quiet and listen, that's what you have to do. So I think sometimes keeping that mouth closed, not giving too many instructions, but listening makes you stronger as a whole team.
Not micromanaging.
Yeah.
Giving your team a leash, a long enough leash where they can run on their own. But also jumping back in when they need you to be a true leader, I think that's the only way to be. I hate the word boss. I hate it. I think it's got such a negative annotation connected to it. But being a true leader is you're trying to lead your team to be the most successful versions of them. And doing that, I think a lot of old school way of thinking, I think there's a lot of fear of running a business that way because you're going to create them into someone that can leave you.
Yeah.
And they will. Not all of them. They'll leave and do their own thing maybe, or maybe they'll stay if you're, train them the way they deserve, But letting that handicap you as a manager, owner, whatever position you are, will just hurt your team, being fearful of. I've had some really good people leave.
Yeah.
and not into like our competitor or anything like that, just into like something more of like a dream job for them. And I just shake their hand and I still talk to them, like, oh, like, are you sure? Because I love this. Like, I love what I do. I ain't leaving. But not everyone that think like me. And that was hard for me to kind of get used to. So I jotted a few things down here. So what single decision or moment most changed the direction of Junk Holler?
I think for us, it was like there's a moment when you have to ask, what is this business all about? Is it about making money? Or are you trying to be here for the long haul? What are you trying to accomplish with this? Mm-hmm. And granted, you need to make money. But I think if you go that route, you're going to go down one road that might make you a lot of money, but we're interested in being part of the community, having a team, and make money, but at the same time have longevity in the community. And that means that you have to give and take. You have to not always get the low-hanging fruit or the money right away, which a lot of businesses do. I've worked with, and I think having experienced that, I didn't like it. And so now I think that's our motto, is that we want to just be for the long haul, be for the customers, build it as a family.
For the long haul. I mean, it kind of fits into your name too,
Yeah. Yeah.
And no, you're right. I think you see companies that are more doing a cash grab, just making maybe ridiculous quotes on something, maybe just not treating their team correctly, not upgrading their equipment, not putting their money back into it. Like, you have to make money or you be done in a hurry. But doing it the right way versus the wrong way, there is a right and a wrong on how to do it. And, so from the outside looking in at your company, it looks like you guys are doing it the right way. Going into that, is there any failures or major mistakes that taught you a lesson that your company still holds on to today?
That's good. I think handling growth is that's something we've always had to figure out, because you got to know how to grow properly. We weren't prepared for it, and I think
few small companies are prepared for that growth, the growing pains. So.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we had to be ready for it, because if you're not ready for it and the growth comes, that can frustrate customers. That can frustrate the whole system of things. So It's a fine balance of trying to figure out, as a small business, when you find success, how you're going to be able to do it, because you don't want to frustrate customers. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you want to do it right. I think that's something that we're kind of going through now, like where we have to figure out how we give that same customer experience. Because that's one thing we hate, is like when a customer doesn't feel like they get that 100%. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, you got 10 guys. Can you take care of them all? Well, we want to, but sometimes we don't. And so we have to go back and figure out how we're going to do that.
Yeah. Like, how do you keep growing your business? Because a business that's not growing, dying, in my opinion. But how do you not lose what got you where you are? Because we have those discussions often in our group. We've grown tremendously. Yeah. And we never want to become the big guy. We want to be the little guy, chip on our shoulder. Guy is willing to help out a customer where the big company said no, But yeah, you also do have to learn to say no on certain deals that just don't make sense for your company. We've had to say no to certain things because they don't pencil, Because we've done jobs and things and for the longevity aspect where we know in the long term it's going to pay off. But I'm going to lose on these next 6 months on this deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm sure you've had the same thing, to get your foot in that door.
Yeah.
And finding that balance is, there's no spreadsheet that's going to teach you that. I really think it's a gut thing sometimes. You got to have a leadership team willing to discuss it. Like, hey, guys, I've been doing this. And do you guys think I'm on the right track, or am I, like, losing my mind? You know what I mean? You know, and give yourself and your teammates grace to screw up, you know. I think that's where a lot of companies fail. They don't give each other grace to make mistakes. Don't make a mistake that's going to put the business out, you know. Don't make a mistake that's going to jeopardize your own, you know, your paycheck, you know what I mean? But making a small mistake because you had good intentions and being a leader, like, or maybe the leader makes that mistake, or if it's a guy that works for you, as a leader, you turn it into a learning point. So the next guy, because to me, like, when our guys make a mistake, I'm like, oh, that's my fault. I didn't teach them enough, or I put them out there too early. You know, and how can I learn on the next guy to not do that? So that's just kind of some of my philosophies on some of that stuff. So
Yeah, I always tell my crew, like, it's okay to have a mistake because you can learn from that mistake. Mm-hmm. So I try to always let them know, like, I will never be upset with you if you make a mistake. But what are we going to do about it? How will we grow from this? And what will we do? So we're just always trying to be a company with quality. I think maybe you know this too. Like, we grew up with these places that we loved and they had great quality. But then when that quality drops, you're just like, wait, why did that happen? And it's just like, I'm used to this. And so I try to keep that quality up because it's easy to cut those corners. And I don't know. I just don't like that when businesses do that.
Well, you look at, you know, on the big macro level of, you know, these big businesses like Chick-fil-A. People love Chick-fil-A. I don't think it's necessarily because their food's a lot better. I think it's because the experience is better. Yeah. Those lines are quick. Everyone that works there appears to be in a good mood. You know, they're doing something right. Like, but then you can go to like another fast food joint that you're like, God, this, like, they threw my in there and they kind of just threw my change back at me, like, you know. So how do you scale and hold on to that? And every company's got to kind of do it. It depends on what industry, what company, how your company dynamic is, but you do have to figure that out, because if you don't, that guy, that competitor, they'll figure it out, and they're gonna come for your business, you know.
Yeah.
So
I learned from those businesses too, because when you have that experience, you're just like, oh, I love that experience. How can I bring that into my own business? You're right. Simple, fast, good quality, just leaving with a good thing. That's so important. I love that.
Yeah, leave them feeling good. You know, that's one of our. Yeah. I want everyone that leaves here to feel better. We give people money, so that part, like, we got that going for us. But do we bat 100? Like 100? No, we don't. We're not hitting 100%, unfortunately. Even how you tackle those problems is important too. Like that 5% that leaves unhappy, or 2%, whatever it is. You know, how do you navigate that to, like, also flip that unhappy experience into a good one? Mm-hmm. Or, like we said, or you learn from it. Like, hey, I'm going to address this with my team member and be like, dude, like, were you wrong? No, you could have maybe handled it this way. You know what I mean? Or you were wrong. Or, no, that guy was just a jerk and we don't want him to come back. Because I'll back up my team over that guy too. You know, I'm not going to just bend over to a guy being an So it's a very interesting dynamic.
It is. That is important, because I think that does make your team feel like you got their back. You have to know which customer is the customer that you don't want. Mm-hmm. You know, and that customer, when you show, like, that's not those are not our qualities that we like. You know, that's not what we stand for. Then your team builds from that, because they're like, oh yeah, cool. Now we know which direction we want to go. So yeah, that's really important. I agree with you there.
Yeah, it'll help you build your culture within your. Cause I mean, that's such an important dynamic too, because that that culture will translate over to your customer. You can't let a customer compromise your culture either, you know?
Yeah, well said. We've had that a couple times too, and we just didn't like it, and that's not what we want.
We've had it too, like where we let it compromise some of our culture because customer is a good customer, you know, and then you look back and you're never gonna keep that customer anyway because you don't align, like, you know what I mean? So like I think identifying that sooner and being willing to not make that money from that customer and refocusing on maybe you're just your team or a customer that treats you well. So it does work both ways, you know. So do you have any major future goals that you can think of, like any technology, any partnerships, anything you'd like to share, like any, like just, you know, goals you have set for your company in the 5 to 10 year realm?
Yeah, I think building alliances is huge. We built a great one with United Metals, which is awesome.
Thank you.
And we've been able to do that now for like 14 years, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, from the very beginning. And I honestly, you were a big part of that because the way when we first came in, we didn't know what we were doing. But I still remember taking the time to say like, hey, you know, you should clean this up, you should clean that up. And then what we didn't need to clean up. And all that stuff helped us even grow faster. And so that relationship has turned into something that's amazing after 14 years. Because now we're in different parts. Like, so we've got Boise base, now we got Caldwell. So as we're growing, like, we need you. And so with your question, I think that's probably what we need to do, is because you need to build alliances that are going to help you grow, because you can't do it alone anymore. That's just a reality. You need people if you're going to grow, because everybody else is doing that. So you have to have strong relationships, and that's kind of what we're trying.
That's the word I was waiting for.
And you know, you have your back, and you recognize that even in those relationships, you're going to have disagreements at times, but you work through those agreements and you become stronger through them. And then all of a sudden now, look, 2 are better than 1, 3, 4. Everybody's aligned. So that's our goal, is to expand out of the Boise area. You know, right now we, like you said, it's been 14 years of hard work to be trusted, and that's what we're getting from our customers. They trust us. Like the feedback is like, oh yeah, you helped my mom be able to do this when she lost her mother, and you were there. Like, that's great feedback, you know? And so that's our goal.
That really, on my re-listen, that really hit close to home with dealing with some family deaths and stuff. And you said you're dealing with a lot of people when grandma dies, and they have to just clean up, like maybe a hoarder situation, or not even a hoarder situation, just a living. You accumulate a lot of things when you live. And one thing I'm really bad about is I create these fake emotional attachments to inanimate objects, and my wife doesn't. So she's like, "Why do you have that?" Like, that was my bowl from that was my cereal bowl from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'm like, does it matter? Not really. Like, I've learned to like throw shit away, or recycle it, or whatever it is, you know. But you're probably dealing with a lot of that when you're doing a cleanup, where people are like, no, not that. Like, do you have like a good system to deal with the grief? Do you have any? If you've seen the grief, do you ever point them in like a professional that could deal with grief professionally too?
That's great, because we come across it a lot. To answer that question, probably the biggest asset we have is empathy, because some people don't care. They just come in, they recognize it as a job. But like you said, that cereal bowl is very important to you. So if you're disrespectful to that, you've already done a bad experience. But you have to be real about it and say, like, you know what, I do too. I'm like you. That T-shirt, it's like, it's a memory. You throw it away. It's like, you feel bad about it, like you're giving something away.
Sometimes I'm going through my closet looking for that shirt. I'm like, where's my shirt?
Yeah, our wives never know that. They're like, why do you have that?
Like, I got rid of that thing. I'm like, what are you doing?
I know.
What are you doing?
That's
then I'm like, what am I doing? Like, the thing doesn't fit me and it's got 30 holes in it. You know?
Yeah. No, and that's the way you have to. If you felt it, then you can be real about like how that is, and that's important. Mm-hmm. So we do that, and I think that goes a long way. Our whole crew is trained on that too. Okay. And we have empathy. Cool. So we're not like one guy is like he tosses everything. You know, you're never going to be perfect.
But in your training.
Yeah,
you train them to be empathetic.
It's our core. That's what we are as people.
Okay.
And that's who we hire. That's who we are with. And that's what we've gotten feedback from the community, which is really important. When it comes to professional help, you know, obviously we're careful because we're not professionals. So what we would do is just say, like, you know, we're going to do this part of it. It's just one small piece to the healing. But, you know, obviously there's...
You don't give them, like, hey, you should go... get some Xanax.
Yeah, that can
you're not writing scripts out there.
Yeah, that can be more harmful if you give them the wrong advice. But we're going to give them what we can professionally do.
What you can do.
Empathy, heart, everything.
Okay. I love it, man. Well, thanks for catching back up with us. I can't wait till Junk Holler is the franchise and you got them in 50 states. You said you were going to grow. Are you going to grow out of Idaho? Do you want to stay in Idaho?
I think right now...
Would you ever want to be a franchisor?
I think if it was done right, I think we would. Right now, I think we want to do Idaho really well. Okay. And then from there, all that experience is going to like
control
expand.
That.
Yeah.
If you do grow, if you don't do it right, you can lose what got you there.
Exactly. You don't want to do that. You want to grow.
You could be the Chick-fil-A of the junk hauling business, though. Never know.
Yep.
Thank you, Royce.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Always a pleasure.
Yep.